You're listening to Kevin and the Spleen.
No one's gonna ever love me.
1098.5 Radio QWX. For quick.
Bussin', no cap.
No cap.
Really smack you in the ass with flavor. There you go. This show is about depression, anxiety, PTSD, and chronic illness.
We going quick. Trying to keep you on the path to the ride home on the evening time.
It's a fucking zoo.
Make it Quicks. With the Quicks Radio.
White lives do not matter.
Oh, we don't have any Spencer audio. We've lost the Spencer audio. Oh no, we've lost the Spleen. Oh no. I can see Spencer, but I cannot hear him whatsoever. He's nodding at me that he's fixing stuff though. I think. So anyway, welcome to That Happens, everybody. Oh, there.
Oh, no, baby. Okay, how's it? Is it listening to me? I don't know what was different before.
You sound good now. We missed you.
Oh, God, babies. I was just addressing the children. I was saying, hello, children. It's that time for the Spleen and Kevin Children Hour. So we like to call it the Children Hour here with the stomach, the Children Hour at the stomach with Kevin and the Spleen. I'm being told that, Children at the Stomach with Kevin the Spleen has been canceled. I think it might be for the best. I wonder what happened to my voice and what will continue to happen to my voice as we start the show. Oh boy, that's right. It wasn't the Spleen. It was just Spencer the whole time. What's up, folks? It's Spencer. It's Kevin. Kevin, say something.
Hey, everybody. I'm really, if you're not watching this, you should watch this right now because Spencer's got the coolest, like, pinky purple background going on right now that it feels kind of sexual, I have to say.
This is the stomach lighting. This is what a stomach looks like from the outside. And you might ask yourself why. And I would tell you, hey, shut the fuck up. Okay. Man. So, here's the thing. I like doing the anime version of the podcast. I also feel like I have stuff to talk about. I have to figure out a way to rectify that, you know? The final solution... Wait, nope. The whatever we decide to do with the podcast, I think has to take into account the fact that I love just talking about bullshit. So, yeah.
And that's the reason, I mean, you know, so this is what, episode 148 that we're recording right now.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to hit 150 soon. Maybe every 150 episodes we change format.
Great. Okay. Wait, we're 142?
148 right now.
Oh, fuck, you guys. Oh, shit. God damn it. I'm working too much for that. Oh, fuck. Oh, God. There's so many things I could be doing for an 150th episode that I have no idea if I'll have time. But I don't think we can actually pivot at 150. Maybe we have some sort of board meeting. We'll figure out. God damn it. Okay. This is something not to plan on the podcast. I know a big part of the podcast is planning the podcast on the podcast, not this style of planning. That's what's going to be something else is happening instead. Okay. Here's the thing, you guys. We have a lot to talk about. We actually do. The first thing I want to talk about is I went to the urgent care. Okay. So one morning before work, I have this thing that I think now is... Okay, this is gross. I don't know. How far should we skip ahead? Maybe...
Start at the start.
5 minutes. Skip 5 minutes if you don't want to hear something gross. But I have this, I thought it was like a pimple on my stomach about where my waistline is, you know, where your belt is. And so when it would get when it would like be a pimple and swell up, it would be irritated by my belt and my waistline and stuff. And so sometimes it would get like what I presume is infected and swell, and sometimes it would drain, you know. And sometimes when it would swell, I would pop it because it was a pimple. But here's the thing: is it turns out I don't think it was a pimple, because one time I was popping it, and it popped backwards. It popped inside. It popped instead of outward like a pimple would. I felt squirting happen into my inside. And here's the thing: the inside of your body, who knows what the fuck's going on there? It's like just a bag of unspecified meat and tissues. You spray something in there. I don't know what that means. Like, what's it spraying? Is it spraying another layer, kind of like 3 layers of a plastic bag, and now the second one is sopping wet? You know, is it injecting it into just the central medium? Do I just have fluid that everything's swimming? You know, I don't fucking know. But here's what I know is that the kind of stuff that swells up in a space like that is typically pus and infectious stuff, right? You know? And I had sprayed it into my inner mystery meats. And so I was like, this could potentially cause infected stuff. I don't know. It seemed really bad on paper. And I was like, if this was a zit, I don't feel like this would have happened. So I Googled it. Great tip. Just Google anything. And the robot will never tell you wrong. But I Googled it, and WebMD or whatever. I actually went to a website. Because you have to these days. You have to fight to a website. I told it. It said, "Oh, cysts can pop internally," and I was like, "Oh, a cyst? That's like a complicated like pimple. Basically, that's like a science pimple or something, you know." So I was like, "I bet it's that. I bet that's what I did." And it said, "Don't try and pop those yourself. Get someone to help or whatever. Get a doctor because it could rupture and cause blood poisoning." And I was like, great, this is the kind of shit I was worried about. Blood poisoning? I don't want blood poisoning. I gotta go to work. And so I go to the urgent care because I need a doctor to tell me I am or I'm not gonna die. And the doctor told me, you're fine. He told me I was too morbid. When I explained my reasoning, I was like, well, I sprayed infectious tissue into my internals. And then I Googled it, and it said you could potentially get blood poisoning. And I was like, well, I don't just want to get blood poisoning because that could kill me. And he was like, you're a morbid guy. You know that? And I was like, this seems very straightforward logically. Like, if I knew that I didn't need antibiotics or something, sure, but I need a doctor to tell me that, right? And the reason you need antibiotics is not for fun. You know, it's because you need antibiotics. You can't deal with the infection without them, because the infection will kill you or maim you without them. It's not morbid to understand that about how infections and medicine works. You know, I don't know. Anyway, whatever. He told me, he gave me antibiotics. And then I followed up with my normal doctor. My normal doctor was like, that's way too many antibiotics. Like, you're fine, dude. And I was like, yeah, it seemed like a lot of antibiotics, but I didn't want to fuck up. So we stopped taking them. And, I don't know. So I guess it's a cyst. I don't know. Anyway, sorry for being gross, but that happened. Did you even know that could happen? That's like a new nightmare thing, you know?
Yeah, no, I had that happen once on my shoulder. And then it like turned into this like hard, like, I don't know, my doctor said like your body just like envelops something it doesn't recognize and seals it off. Sure. And it just turned into this like hard, like felt like a pebble after a while. And then it just went away. So
I wonder if that's going to happen to me.
I don't know.
But you know, it's not going to happen to me is soda. Wait, no. Shit. I didn't give you any, I didn't tell you to prep for any of the soda themes. Do you have any of the soda themes?
I have.
You don't have to.
Yes, I do. I do.
You don't have to lie to the fine people. Kevin's lying, folks. He can't play the song. He couldn't do it. He's not capable. I would hate to be proven wrong. Luckily, I can't. Because he can't play the song. Today, we're going to drink soda. Here's what I've figured out, is that I would like to drink a soda during the podcast. And if you do this at the beginning, then you can drink a soda during the podcast. Okay. We got berries and cream, Royal Crown Cola, limited time flavor. I don't know. It's a cool design. It's like kind of like a throwback design. I don't know. You have any notes, Kevin? I just want to smell it.
This is already discontinued, I think, for people who want to try this. It wasn't like exclusive to any specific store, but as far as I can tell, only the Dollar General chain of stores in the US actually ever carried this. Nowhere else did. But in theory, somebody else could have ordered it. They're just the only ones who did. So if you can actually look on their website though, and it tells you if they still have any in stock, which is kind of handy. Wow. But yeah, it's a limited edition RC berries and cream.
Yeah, I smelled it. You can open it, Kevin, if you want to give it a sniff. It smells of Pepsi with a light vanilla note, and it has the very slightest artificial kind of berry hint, I would say. I'm gonna. Kevin, do you want to talk it through? I'm gonna taste it.
Yeah, It smells sort of like cola, and I'm getting kind of like a sugary, sweet, almost like frosting smell off of it a little bit. It smells like it's going to be very sweet. Almost candy-like, like candy coating kind of.
I'd say I drank it and it was very mild. I'd say it had a pretty heavy berry flavor and maybe a mild cola flavor. And all the flavors were mild and they kind of wove. They kind of braided together very nicely in a very even, cold, refreshing, kind of creamy, mild, very nice flavor, wouldn't you? I don't know. What do you think?
It's not what I expected at all. Yeah, it first comes off tasting to me like kind of like a cola flavor. Then I got a hint of some sweetness, which I think is the berry, but to me it's just coming off as more generic, not cola sweetness. And then there's like this cream aftertaste that comes in at the end.
Okay, so I haven't talked about this in a while, but sometimes I take these short little sips that kind of more hit the front of my tongue. And sometimes I take bigger like gulps that kind of more hit the back of my tongue. And the larger ones, I was tasting more what you were tasting. And I find I get the more delicate, what I think of as a top note flavor, more when I had like the little front sips. But anyway, that's nice.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I don't think it needs more berry. I think like it needs to adjust that middle note of sweetness to be more berry-like. But I really like it.
Yeah, I think what I like about it is that I think RC is a kind of a mild cola, and because of that, I think the berry comes through in a way that isn't as distracting as it is in other things, where it just distracts from the cola, where it's like the cola is already so mild, it doesn't distract from the cola just so much as it like is just there. Oh, I'm good at the podcast, and the podcast is good, and I do it well, and it's good at me doing it. Is that how I say it? Is that what I say?
I think so.
Right? I
like that.
Oh boy. Okay, so do you remember the Arby's incident?
Yes.
Well, I think I actually might have told you about this behind the scenes, but I had another incident that to me was like the Arby's incident. Also, I heard on the Doughboys, Mitch on the Doughboys had an Arby's incident at the same Arby's, and it was actually kind of similar to mine. But it's funny because he ended up like apologizing to the person and buying their Arby's meal, where the person that I had an altercation with was leaving and didn't, I wouldn't have bought them an Arby's meal. But like, it's just like, yep, that's goes to show how I differ from other people. Is he's like, and then I'm sorry, and then here, I'm buying your meal, and then I'm like, I'm right, fuck you, I was right, and then later I'm like, I'm a piece of shit, like it's just an interesting contrast of Arby's and anyway. 7-Eleven has a limited edition flavor of Gatorade right now that has a deal. It's 3 for $6, and I misread the 3 for $6 as 2 for $6. And so I grabbed 2 Gatorades. So here's the question. Sorry, I burped into the mic. Here's the question that I ask myself. I lay awake every night asking myself this. Is, would I have gotten 3 Gatorades if I knew that it was 3 for $6 and not 2 for $6? Because oftentimes I wouldn't get extra beverages like that,
So was the price for two more or less than $6?
So in my head, a Gatorade is like $3.50. So when I perceive this as 2 for $6, I'm like, hey, I'm saving like $1, 2 for $6. But what it really is like, man, you're saving more. It's like if you bought 2 for $3.50, that's $7. You're getting 3 for $6. So it's like that is just a crazy deal. It's less than 2 to buy 3. Anyway, okay. So, but the thing is, I don't like getting a bag. Anytime the place is like, do you want a bag? I'm like, what the fuck do I want a bag? This is like 2 things. But they always ask you if you want a bag, and I never want a bag. And sometimes I take a lot of drinks, and they're like, do you want a bag? And I'm like, no, I don't want a bag. But so I don't always like taking a bunch of drinks. I understand my drink limits when I'm walking out without a bag, and I don't want a bag, and I don't want a bag. But, so I grabbed 2, but I'm not sure if I would have grabbed 3. I don't think I would have, because that's not my style. But maybe that's just rationalization, at post hoc rationalization. But so I grabbed 2, and then I also grabbed 2 taquitos, which also have a 3 reduced deal. But unlike the taquitos, or unlike the Gatorade, the taquitos are just a slight price break. If you buy 3, you save like 50 cents or something. Whereas, with the Gatorade, you save like $5 or something. You save like an insane amount. And so I'm getting both of these things that have these deals. And so then the guy is like, oh, no, man, you got to get 3. It's cheaper. And I think he's talking about the taquitos. And I've played this game before because a lot of people have told me this. And the thing is, I don't want 3 taquitos because it's more calories to have a third taquito. And I don't want it. And it does cost more money. And you're not saving money. You're spending more money for calories that you don't want. So that's bad. It's not, no one's doing you a favor. And in this case, even if it was cheaper to get 3 than 2 because of the calories, it still is not a favor because I don't want those calories. I want the 2. That's what I've budgeted for. And so I know what's happening, except I don't, because he's talking about the fucking Gatorade and not the taquitos. And he's like, no, it's cheaper. It's cheaper for 3. Go get one. And I was like, no, I just want 2. And he's like, no, it's cheaper for 3. It's cheaper. You save money. It's way less. And I was like, okay, but I only want 2. And then this guy is looking at the Gatorades, and they have this big decal that says 3 for $6. And he's like, this guy sounds drunk, but I don't know if he's drunk. This is just a customer. And he looks at the sign and is like, hey, I think you save money if you get 3. And I was like, yeah, but I only want 2. And the guy is like, look, it's fine. And I was like, look. And then when the guy, I was like, yeah, but no, he's talking about the taquitos. You're talking about the Gatorade. And then the guy, the employee, is like, no, I'm talking about the Gatorade. Oh shit! Did you lose me again? Okay,
nope,
I bumped the cord, which is how you lost me the first time. And so the guy is like, no, I'm talking about a Gatorade. So I realized my error. I was thinking about the taquitos. But here's the thing. Unless I am rationalizing and convincing myself that I wouldn't have taken 2 when I would have taken 3, I don't think I wanted 3. So even though I thought he was talking about taquitos, it doesn't matter. The same logic applies. I still only want 2. But I did think he was talking about the taquitos, and he was talking about the Gatorade, which was saving me a substantial amount of money. It would have been cheaper to buy 3 than buy 2. And as I realized this, in like the split second I realized this, I realize I have to not realize this. I can't let on that I've realized this because that makes me look like an idiot. And then, that's the worst thing I can ever do is be wrong about anything, right? And so I'm like, look, man, you can charge me for 3 if you want. That's fine, but I only want 2. And so he charges me for 2, which is the full price, which, I mean, I'm from his perspective, I'm being a dick. From my perspective, he was being a dick, except he wasn't. He was actually genuinely trying to help me. But the thing is, if you want to save me money, just charge me for 3 and let me walk out with 2. It's fucking fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I promise. I don't know how much they'll ding you for getting the inventory wrong. Let's say will ding you for getting the inventory wrong. It's fine. Someone else will steal a Snickers bar and it'll be the same. It's fine. Like, it's fine. So if you're trying to help, if you are trying to help, honestly, charge me for 3. It's fine. That's what I'd do. But if he clocks me as being a dick, which I probably was, whatever, then yeah, don't do that. It's fine. I get it. I don't blame him for not. But at this point, the customer is like walking up and he's trying to explain to me that I could get one for cheaper. And I'm like, I understand. And then the guy's like, wait, can I have his? Can I have his extra one? And then I was the employee does not know how to answer that. And I'm like, look, that's between you and this guy. I'm out. And I was like, he charged me for 2. I paid it. He had already rung me for 2. So he wasn't going to ring the 3rd, to give this customer his free beverage that I essentially would have paid for. But then I walked out and I left everybody. And then I was like, man, I suck. Everything sucks.
That's like the inverse of something that happened to me. So there's a gas station by where I live that had a 3 for $5 thing, but if you only bought 2, it was way more expensive. Mm-hmm. But what I liked, this place is really nice, was like, hey, it's cheaper if you buy 3. So I'm bringing up 3 right now. If you want, grab one on your way out, or if you'd like, we'll donate it to a food bank. And at first I was like, oh, I'll grab one on the way out. And then I'm like, well, now I feel like a jerk if I don't donate it to the food bank. So, okay, yeah, you can do that. And then as I'm starting to walk away, the kid behind me is like, wait, can I have his? I'll take it. And I'm like, well, no, if I'm not getting it, it's going to a charity then. I don't want to, I wasn't just giving it. I wanted the 3rd one, but they guilted me into giving it away. And now I don't want to give it to somebody else. So I don't know. I just walked out. I didn't know what to do.
Did you say anything?
I just went,
Yeah. That sucks.
Yeah.
Did you know if they got it or not?
No, I walked out. I was just like, I don't have time for this. I was already late. I didn't care.
That's the thing, is letting it go is the healthiest thing. Man, okay, so I should gloss over this because I don't want to talk about this in depth. What am I going to move on to? Let's see. Okay, got it. So at some point towards the end of last year, I recontacted my ex, and it's been up and down. It's mostly been fine, but it was probably a mistake to do. We've just been talking and stuff. It's just mentally for me, it's not been good. It's not like, she hit me with her car or anything. But I was thinking about that whole situation. And then I opened my phone to Reddit, and then a Reddit r/science said study, people with anxious attachment syndrome more prone to love addiction, unhealthy and obsessive attachments to exes or something. And I was like, oh shit. This is an unhealthy and obsessive attachment. And I know I have anxious attachment style or whatever. And then I was like, oh, I mean, I knew this was not good because it made me sad, but to see a Reddit thing be all unhealthy obsessive, I was like, oh, and just a switch flipped. And I was like, oh, I can't engage in this. This is not healthy. This is unhealthy and obsessive. And I was like, damn. I mean, I guess on some level I knew it was kind of that, although I wouldn't put it in those words, but it was just really interesting to see it be bam, breakthrough or whatever. I don't know. Maybe the first step of a breakthrough. Anyway, have you heard of conscious babies?
No, I have not.
Have you heard of baby sign language?
Yes.
Well, tell us about baby sign language.
A friend of mine, when she had her baby, was teaching him signs for things like food and milk and stuff like that way before he would normally be able to talk, and it made him communicate a lot better,
Right.
and from a much earlier age.
Yeah. So you would say you might say that babies who sign display a level of consciousness that is not typically associated with babies, that we don't typically think of babies as having. Certainly they must have it, otherwise they wouldn't be capable of sign language. But it's not how we think of babies. The idea of fully conscious babies, the idea of a baby that has not the intelligence of a man or an adult, but like intelligence, is like been going around TikTok lately and the internets. There's this TikTok that went viral. Maybe you can find the like Google like 4 Seasons baby TikTok or something. But there's this TikTok that went viral that was the baby wanted to go to 4 Seasons or something like that, and it kind of kicked off, I think, part of this trend. But it's been happening because baby sign language is a thing that acknowledges this reality. You can teach your baby's language before they're capable of speech, which means they can think words that are speech without the mouth dexterity to do them, right? You know, which is crazy. Did you find anything? Have you been looking?
TikTok is banned on our corporate network, so I can't open.
That's so funny. Well, Google it. But basically what happens is the baby kind of has like a big head. I think it's a girl baby, but it kind of has a big head, and it has a face inside of its head that kind of has this soulful, like aged nature to it a little bit, like an overgrown baby a little bit. And the mom is filming and looking at the baby, and the dad is holding the baby, and there's also like maybe a 4 or 5 year old nearby. And the mom asked the question, who wants to go to 4 Seasons Hotel and Resort Orlando or something like that? And like the baby is just locked in, and after she finishes the word Orlando, the baby like raises a hand like a check please waiter kind of gesture, like a that, and goes me, and it just like, I don't know. And then someone started like cutting like a TikTok of like them moving the baby's mouth and going like, yes, it sounds quite agreeable that we should go to the 4 Seasons Hotel and Resort. And you know, just like but like people are like, why is that baby like reacting like that? This baby is like adult. This baby understands the difference between 4 Seasons Hotel and not resort. You know, I don't know. You know, they're just dissecting like the weirdness. What's weird is that the baby waits, you know, until the complete end, but that's also understandable. So I don't know if this baby was fully conscious, but it started this conversation. Because here's the thing. You know H.R. Giger?
Yes. Creepy artist,
famous for those images, you know. They went on to inspire Alien, the xenomorph. But the art is very much like that in general. I'd say there's more overt sexual and nudity, sexual imagery and nudity, but everything is very organic, this fusion of machines and organic life. And apparently, unless TikTok lied to me, which incredibly possible, feel free to write on the Reddit if I'm wrong. But apparently H.R. Giger maintains that he remembers his own birth. He was a fully conscious baby that was fully conscious during his own birth. And that was traumatizing for him. And as a baby, he would have nightmares about his birth because he was conscious enough, to remember and to have nightmares and to remember the nightmares. And that's almost kind of like sleep paralysis a little bit. If you think about it, like all you are is like a consciousness that can only recall nightmares, you know? So when you think about Giger's art, think about the fact that he's kind of recreating like the nightmares of his birth that he remembers. And again, baby sign language is this. There's this one TikTok of someone who's, I'm sure they were joking, but it was like they're saying that they were at a party and there was this baby and the baby said a word and the mom was like, oh, she only knows 3 words or something. And then they're like, oh, you hold the baby. And then they left And then the baby was like, food. And then the guy was like, oh, I didn't know you said food. That wasn't one of the words. And the baby was like, I talk more. And then he freaked out. But that sounds fake. But I think fully conscious babies are real. I think we need to study them because who knows what they're capable of. You know? I don't know. I think one of the reasons I was smart is my parents read to me as like a little baby, like ever since I was born, which is supposed to be really important for like developing your ability to learn speech and stuff early. And it's like also related to baby sign language and stuff. So I wonder if like part of the reason I'm smart is for like the same things that are like why baby sign language is good. Like my parents reading to me actually helped, develop my brain in a way that is not standard, or if it was just random, who knows? Weird stuff. But fully conscious babies are like just tripping me out. I don't know. Like it just feels like we need to stop everything and just like figure out what the fuck's going on with fully conscious babies. I don't know. But it's unethical to do human testing, obviously. But come on, right? Isn't that crazy? I don't know.
Yeah, I think kids are a lot smarter than we give them credit for, especially at the very early ages. They figure things out, and they remember things that they're surprised, and we're always surprised that they remember, even though it happens every time, kind of thing. So yeah. It's, I feel like infants are a lot more human than we pretend they are.
Well, that's kind of, I think, I kind of lost my train of thought, but I think that's kind of what I mean. Like, what's so crazy about it is like, we probably do need to reorient society somewhat to account for the fact that babies probably, I don't know. I'm not saying like babies need equal rights, babies need to be allowed to vote or anything, but like, I don't know. Like, I think a lot of stuff that we do is maybe more prison-like than we assume if the baby is a quote unquote fully conscious baby, as opposed to a different kind of baby. So if there's more capability for feeling suffering than we've given babies credit for, we do need to think about that because there's probably a lot of things we haven't thought about that assume that that's not the case, And so I don't even know what that means. It's not like there's anything I'm thinking of and I'm not comfortable saying or anything. I just it just seems obvious to me that that's the case, right? Do you not feel that way? I don't know.
I agree, but also as having a small child in my home, I can say that I went into that going, okay, well, I'm going to do this completely differently and she's going to be allowed to do whatever, not whatever she wants, but, not just sat in like a little playpen all the time, always out doing things. I drastically underestimated how much a small child wants to kill themselves. Every single action she took was potentially fatal. Mm-hmm. And there's some level of just preserve safety that kicks in that made me kind of revert a little bit on that. But at the same time, I think we need to be more conscious of what you just said, of how, they are just like little humans that probably do remember more than we give them credit for and do understand more than we give them credit for.
Yeah, like a story my parents always used to tell about my birth is I got a C-section. I think all of us boys were C-sections, all three of us. And I had broad shoulders or whatever, and I got stuck, and they really had to like get like big somethings to like forceps or something to like wrench me out. Like they like grabbed me under the shoulders or something and had to pull me out. And I got stuck, and like I don't know. It's hard to like this. It's fine to tell a story even if it's fake because I'm not saying it's true. This is my parents' story, but like it's hard to imagine my neck strength as a baby being capable of this. But my mom said I was like looking around as like a baby, like I was like blinking and like looking around as opposed to like the other babies that didn't do that when they were born. But the other babies also didn't get stuck. But looking around implies my eyes were open, and newborn babies don't have their eyes aren't open. So doesn't that seem like a lie now? I don't know. My parents said that they witnessed a demon exorcism, so
So we need to devote an entire episode to just stories from your childhood, I think.
I think we do actually. I've been thinking about something like that, but yeah, I don't want to be too depressing. I don't.
No, but
honestly,
we need your origin story at some point.
that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. Is that there's part of it that's like it's just weird. I think yeah, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. Okay, so this is just a stupid thought I had, I guess. I feel like there's people that I don't know. The punchline or whatever, the slogan is people who claim to be disillusioned with politics and political parties essentially keep reinventing them. Like the most obvious, and this isn't bad, this isn't a critique or whatever, but like the most positive version of this or whatever is mutual aid groups. Like people are like, oh, we got to get involved with our community by doing mutual aid groups. But like a mutual aid group is like kind of like just a nonprofit. It's kind of like a government without the government, you know? So it's like a political thing just without the actual political connection, but it is a political group with political power, you know, it just is mutual aid. But the main annoying thing that comes up for me is people say we need a general strike, which part of what they mean, and also part of what's implied, even if they don't know, is that a general strike is most of the population, which means it's bipartisan. Because if half the if half the population is one party and half the population is the other party, then you don't get the numbers to a general strike unless more than a majority of one party. Like if you got all of one party, like you could be a general strike, but basically you can't get all of a party and you can't even get most of a party. So you need people in both parties. Otherwise you can't get a general strike. And so they're like, oh, so we just need to convince broad swaths of people on both sides of the political spectrum to do a political action that seeks to achieve a political goal. That's politics. That's a political party, you know. And we had that guy that came on Harmontown that was like, we need to start a new third party. And it's like, I'm so sick of this. It's like, it's just, I want to start a party. It's like, just, and my thing was just do that with the Democrats. It's like everybody, they have these ideas like, oh, we need to, well, like even think about like, oh, all we need to do is like kill the right people or whatever. We need to form militant groups and do our, like, we need to violently create the political change we want to see. It's like, oh, you know, it would be easier than violently creating the political change you want to see by recruiting a group of people that are dedicated to violence, finding a group of people that are less dedicated to change through more precedented means by way of being in a political party. Like, I get that the parties are bad, but like, when what people are trying to do is they're reverse engineering a political party and placing it in a different context and saying, in this context, a political party could be the solution. And it's like, yeah, but you know where a political party could be the solution? Where a political party is the solution. You know, it's like you don't have to do any extra thought. Like you just have to actually engage. It's not exciting, but I don't know. Have I talked about the fact? Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you.
This probably is an unpopular opinion of mine, but like, and I don't fault anybody who you know participates in protests and things like that, or you know thinks they're effective. They may well be. I just don't find doing that changes anyone's mind. You know, like I don't. You know, you can have 1 million people all go on a big protest, walking down the streets of New York City to go protest something to demand action on X. I don't see many instances where that's actually done anything. You know, the people who were opposed to it are not going to suddenly be for it because a bunch of people showed up to go march down the Capitol. You know, do you see what I'm saying there? I'm kind of dancing around this because I know this is not the most politically correct thing to be saying, but I can't think of many instances like in the last 50 years where people have gone to some big protest or something like that and actually accomplished what they set out to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think generally speaking, a lot of times the circumstances that create a protest are the helplessness, the lack of other options, right? So I think if there was a lot of other effective recourse, you might not need to use protest. I will also say that a lot of times what you're thinking of are left-wing protests, and there's probably a lot of circumstances that you're not thinking of right-wing protests that did have a lot of impact. Or they just had the power, and so the protests were just an outgrowth of that power in a different direction. And the main one that mattered was the political power that made the change that someone is saying, oh, that was because of protesting. But I think the real truth is, since the 70s, our political power has become more entrenched. Our Congress has become less functional and able to do its job and do anything. And Republicans have been stacking the deck and creating institutional unbreakable power structures. And that has made it so politicians are not beholden to the people. And as that's happened, I think protest has gotten less effective. But I think there's been a lot of stuff. I think, people have disengaged on their own. Basically, I think what happened is we had a lot of gains from the labor movement and people just rested on their laurels, right? And we're like, wow, we sure did good. Life is great. Life is great. America rules. And America ruled for so long that they took the power back while we were celebrating, And we were like, America sure is great. Let's trust people in power. And by the time that stopped being true, it was too late, And so then people are like, it's probably still fine. And everybody's probably complaining too much. And it's like, nah, man, the world's upside down and you just haven't noticed because you own a house, So I just I think that protest is important to voice dissent. And there are cases where showing it, remember the women's march with the pink hats and stuff? Mm-hmm. That wasn't trying to remove Trump from power necessarily, or maybe it was. But that was important beyond that, right? It just was important. But the Million Man March was important for more practical reasons, right? So I think those are kind of different ways you can protest.
Right. And I'm not saying there's no value in bringing people together who have similar thoughts and showing strength and things like that, or just showing the numbers, stuff like that. I guess what I'm saying is I don't know that I can point to any specific instance where I think some mass protest actually changed results.
Yeah, because protests are kind of nonviolent and oftentimes it's more violent means that change. I was on the Behind the Bastards or whatever, and they did the Battle of some mountain, which it started with a protest or a strike or whatever, but then to break it, they brought in guns and planes and it was like a company town. The concept of a company town with a mountain, and they live on the mountain and they work and they have script and stuff. They basically paid them only in script and started ratcheting down the money and made their living conditions worse. They brought in fighters to fight the fucking workers, and the workers got guns and shit and fought back. And it was a fucking fight, a war, a battle. They killed each other. And eventually the workers won. And those are the kind of protests that do stuff, And I'm not saying we should do that, but usually, yeah, the ones that matter get violent. Stonewall was the same way, right? With gay people. They beat the shit out of a bunch of fucking cops. And the cops ran away, and then gay rights were widened after that point. It emboldened the community. A lot of things started, but it was violence. And I'm not promoting violence. I'm not. But it is the case that usually the stuff that has the thing, that has the juice, engenders a level of activity that sometimes also rises to violence. I'm not condoning it. I'm not, and I'm not condemning it either. That's just not what I'm talking about right now. That's not what I'm talking about right now. I'll talk about that some other time. But anyway, what I want to talk about is, I don't know. Okay, so Kevin, you texted me. We didn't talk about this before the show, but you texted me about something You texted me about something involving this podcast that I would rather just talk about on the podcast. Can we talk about that on the podcast?
Wait, which thing?
It's not the bad thing.
We can talk about anything you want. I don't care.
It's good. We got a request from a very particular podcast guest. Can we talk about this?
Yes, but not the name.
We can't? Why not?
Because I'm possibly booking that person on another show right now.
What?
I don't want to mess that up. Yes.
When can we talk about this?
Give me a week. So this may not pan out.
Okay. Who are you booking it for?
Possibly real life sci-fi.
Okay.
Because he wants to talk conspiracy theories.
Yeah. I can't talk about this. Fucking.
We can talk about. We just can't say who yet, because I'm not sure.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, so I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sorry, everybody, but I don't know how much I care about syncing this for real life sci-fi. I think I might rather talk about this. You know.
I mean, to be honest, I'm not sure this is going to happen anyway. So I don't know how much harm there would be in this.
Roger Stone's agent emailed Kevin saying Roger Stone wanted to be on the podcast. And that set off an ethical dilemma.
Yeah,
because do we have him on the podcast? Come on. Like, it's insane. It's an insane question. Like, if you're listening to this, your mind's exploding. My mind exploded too. What the fuck do we do with this? I mean, I don't want to be irresponsible with my platform. I'd love, like, it would be interesting to talk to him. I don't know, but also it just makes me a bad person. But it doesn't make me a worse person than real life sci-fi. I'll tell you that.
All right, so I admit I am fascinated by this man. For those of you who aren't in the U.S. or don't know who Roger Stone is, he is a political advisor to many presidents. He's sort of well known for having this giant tattoo on his back of Richard Nixon. He dresses so well that he makes our Jeff Davis look like a bum.
That's not. I don't know that we have to compliment this. Like what?
No, I'm just trying to like paint a picture here. Okay.
I don't think he dresses better than Jeff. I don't know, man. That's wild.
Okay. To me, he's like this Monty Python character that just popped up out of politics.
Sure. Okay.
You know. Well, I mean, not out of nowhere. He's been involved since the Nixon days. But you know. He's this politician. He's never been like, he hasn't ever run for office or anything. He's just always been like an advisor or consultant or whatever. But he's worked for, you know, Nixon and Trump and George W. Bush. And, you know, he's got his fingers in everything.
Yeah.
And, but the thing is, I'm not even sure which podcast they were trying to book him on. They were so vague with their email.
I don't think they know. I think they just knew for some reason to email Kevin about something. I don't know why.
Well,
my theory is just because Harmontown was like a popular enough podcast that if Kevin's email was ever associated with it, like he might have hit some like weird PR list. You know, like we get those emails on That Happens Pod about like increasing our reach. You know, essentially we're on a list and that person found that list. So you could be on a list like that. That's
exactly what it is. Like I get probably 3 or 4 of these a week of like some author I've never heard of wants to come on your show and talk about his book.
Yeah, they don't know who we are, but that's what's awesome.
Blast it out to everybody. And then I think what happens is they see who says yes. Then they actually do some due diligence to figure out.
Right. So they would say no to us anyway. So it's not worth even trying.
I mean, I talked to the publicist and explained the concept of real life sci-fi to her, and she was like, oh, he loves conspiracy theories, he would be all over this. And I'm like, well, okay, what rules would there be? And he's like, well, or she was like, you know, he's not going to want to talk about certain things, but as long as you accept if he says I can't talk about that and move on, you can bring up anything you want. There's no questions that are off limits, there's no anything, just don't get overly hostile with him, and it'll go fine. And I'm like, this isn't how I pictured this going. You know, I was expecting a lot of rules and a lot of, you know, but when I'm trying not to like ruin this, but what I think is going to happen is they're going to look up who I am and then look up real life sci-fi and everything and go, no, this is not our audience. But I don't know. He may be just trying to get whatever publicity he can at this point. I don't know. I don't understand, you know, we've had, you know, we've had people before bring up, back during when Harmontown was running, we would get dozens of people trying to get on the show every week.
Yeah. No, for
so
sure.
this isn't
So, okay.
surprising. It's just
No, it's not. But it's just it's potentially a weird opportunity. Okay, so I don't want to ruin this for real life sci-fi. So I'm not going to say a lot of partisan things right now. But suffice it to say, obviously I understand the idea of platforming Republicans and stuff, and it's not good. And Republicans like to just get on airwaves. It's like a saturation thing. It doesn't matter if you're being nice or not. They're like, haha, I'm winning because you're putting me in your head. I'm living rent free, and so that's bad. And I get that. And that's why you don't do it. And that's why I don't want to do it. But also who fucking cares? It doesn't seem like it's that important. But it is bad, it's wrong.
Did you see the documentary Get Me Roger Stone?
No, I don't. It's weird to watch a documentary about that. It's weird to care about something like that much. I don't know.
Okay, well,
sorry, no offense.
No, I watched it. It's actually surprisingly good because it doesn't really paint him in that flattering of a light, and he still loves it. He's
right. That's what I mean. It's like Republicans they just like being the center of attention, which I get. I like being the center of attention. I get it, but it's not good. You don't want to reward that because they're powerful people that can abuse power, right?
Yeah. So, I was torn even just mentioning this to anybody before just hitting delete on it.
Sure. Yeah.
But
no, I
don't know. For some reason, I've had this just grim fascination with this guy for so long. And just the idea of okay, maybe this would be interesting is why I even brought it up.
Maybe you got an interview then.
I don't think so.
Yeah, exactly. But so that's the thing is it's an interesting opportunity. I don't know. I feel like talking it through. I feel like I don't want to do it. But the other thing is talking about it is almost as good anyway, because it's just so crazy that talking about how crazy it is gets you most of the way there anyway, right?
Right.
But we'll see. We'll sound off in the Reddit if we should interview Roger still. I don't care.
My prediction is going to be that nothing comes of this, no matter what. They're just.
Well, that's the thing
they're casting a very wide net and seeing who bites.
And if nothing comes of it, then I don't want to say yes, because then it's I don't want to be Charlie Brown. It's you're pulling the football. Fuck you. This was a joke. I was pranking you. You don't get to say no to me. It's no. I was joking. Haha. I was kidding first.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's I'm really torn on the whole idea too, because at the same time I don't want to give him more airtime, but it also
exactly.
I have a feeling that if anybody who's made it this far into episode 148 of this show, they probably are not siding with him politically anyway, and if they're still listening to this. So I don't know that it's going to be converting any of the hardcore Spencer listeners to suddenly become Republican.
Right. I mean, that's the thing is that I want to be very realistic about the problems with it, but then I want to be well, wait, is it that big deal? I think the problem is that normalizing odious beliefs is just bad, despite not seeming bad, just every time.
Yeah.
If hypothetically there was someone who was oh, I like to say offensive words when I'm home alone, because it doesn't hurt anyone. So what's the harm in doing that? I'm not going to go and police what people are saying home alone, but there's an argument to be made that the harm in that is by desensitizing you to saying that while you're home alone, it's desensitizing you to other things that will, if you keep following this path, eventually start causing problems that actually cause serious harm. Or maybe make you overlook things that cannot cause harm that will cause harm that you wouldn't have overlooked otherwise. So, I don't even want to be what does everybody want to be a square? It's I don't even think that, but
the thing that I thought might actually work on this show, but also for Real Life Sci-Fi too, is one of the things that his publicist brought up was that he wants to present his evidence that the whole January 6th thing is an AI deep fake thing and didn't actually happen.
Well, that's the thing that's a good conspiracy for Real Life Sci-Fi, I guess, right? That's
why I brought it to their attention first. But I'm very interested to hear what his reasons are for this. So that's an angle I hadn't heard before.
Well, that's the thing is I do just genuinely think if I were, and I don't think this is good to do. So this isn't me saying it, but if I were just to interview him, be like, oh, really? So it's AI? Tell me more or whatever. Like, I think that would be really interesting for me personally. I don't know if that would be a good thing to broadcast or record, right? But if someone was like, hey, do you want to talk to Roger Stone for a half hour about how AI did January 6th? I'd be like, yes, of course I do. Are you kidding? I absolutely want to talk about that. But that's why it's bad, because then no one cares. And I'm not important. But imagine that if like a clip of it went viral or something, then it's like, well, it happened on this show. It could have happened anywhere, but it did happen on this one. And so now I'm involved, and I don't have to be involved. Why am I involving myself other than I want attention, So ultimately, it just is bad. It's just like, how bad, but I think I'm good. It's fine. I don't need to do it. It's fine. It's again, like I said, you get most of the way there by talking about it. And also, this is a bad segue. This is maybe a not good timing to talk about this, but I have been thinking about running for office. And that has nothing to do with any of this, which is why it's funny to talk about it now. But I got like an email saying like, hey, have you thought about running for office? No, I got a text message. You know how like Gavin Newsom texts you and he's like, hey, you up? Give me $20. But someone texted me and they were like, hey, have you thought about running for office? And I was like, yeah. And then they never responded to me. And then I responded to them. I was like, dang. And then like 4 days later or something, they responded back. They're like, oh, if you want to run for office, you do this or something. Do you want to talk? You could have a phone call with this person. They work at the Democratic Party. Do you want to schedule a phone call? And I was like, I mean, I guess. And so I scheduled the phone call and I talked to this guy and he's like, my name's Sam or something. I'm with the Democratic Party. You want to run for office? And I was like, I mean, I guess. What's the deal? And then he told me about like, city council or whatever. He talked a little bit about it, but he was basically like, what you do is you contact the California Dems, CA Dems. That's the California Democratic Party. That operates out of here. And you basically press a button or you request information saying like, I want to run for office. Send me a packet, and you get the packet. And then they basically tell you like how to file and what filing you need to do and when the deadlines are. And then you do that paperwork and then you like send it to them. And then they like, I don't know. But so that's basically so I talked to Sam and I was like, hey, that sounds great. And I'll contact them. And I ended up not contacting them. And Sam was like, hey, do you want to do the Zoom meeting? And I was like, I got to work. If I can do it at work, I'll do it. But otherwise I can't. And then I had to work during that. So I couldn't do it. And then he was like, hey, I can send you this CA Dems packet. And I was like, great, send it. And he sent it to me and I looked at it a little bit. And I don't know. I think I'm going to go a bit farther with this premise before dropping out completely. But I don't think I'm going to go all the way. But the thing is, I think like if I'm not a hypocrite, part of my political belief is that people need to be more politically involved if they want to really complain. Like I don't think you can just say like everybody sucks, so I'm going to disengage from the system. I think if everybody sucks, you have to engage with the system because you have to be the right option if everybody else is the wrong option. Otherwise, you simply have to pick an option and say, well, they're bad options, but I'm not running, so I have to pick one of them. And so following that logic, I feel like I should at least like explore what that means and how big of an ask that is, like what that's expecting. And I don't think everybody has to run for office, but I think everybody does need to be more politically involved. So we'll see. I don't know. Not that I
What kind of office would you want to run?
Right now, city council or something like that. Maybe school board, I guess, but probably city council. Just because I think I could actually do that. I feel like I have the skill set for it. There's probably a couple other offices that I could do in Burbank or whatever, but I don't know. Not that I could do them, but just like, I don't know, like other people run for office. And I don't think I will necessarily. This is all delusional and stuff. But again, like I think that if I want to continue to say like, oh, well, you should just like, if you think all the politicians are bad, you should run for office. I should at least see what that's like. Look into it a bit more, But that's not why I want to talk to Roger Stone. That has nothing to do with that. That's completely separate.
You want him on your staff to help you run your campaign.
Yeah, that could be interesting. Get Taylor Moore and Roger Stone in the campaign office. Oh, did you hear that dog?
Vaguely, faintly, yes.
I wonder if the Zoom heard it. My new roommate has a dog, and her name's Rena. And Rena's cool. My new roommate seems pretty cool. I think I'm allowed to talk to him without being sued. Okay, so do you remember when I was talking about how we need to take the pipes back? I ranted about that, right?
Yes.
Well, I had the thought that okay, so there's this concept called the Fediverse. What is it? Mastodon. Mastodon is federated. It exists in the Fediverse. Threads has also joined the Fediverse. Blue Sky has been working on joining the Fediverse. What is the Fediverse? I don't know. It's like a bunch of like local servers, kind of. It's like IRC is like you connect to servers. And it's like peer-to-peer networks, I think. And I think federations the Fediverse is kind of like that. Instead of like one big thing hosting all of Twitter, it's a bunch of different servers host federations of Twitter, and all of those federations can talk to each other, and all of them can form the Twitter, right? Is that kind of how it works?
Yes. It's decentralized. Like basically each server sets their own policies, their own who they're willing to communicate with and who they're not. You know, it's sort of like if you use Discord, having servers that are able to talk to each other and stuff like that a little bit. But yes, it's a lot like decentralized Twitter, you know, where there is no central site that you go to. Anyone can start their own version of Twitter and connect it up to the other Twitters that run.
So this is something I've never actually thought of, but because it's decentralized, is it the case that it never goes down the same way? Like Twitter goes down, you know, like does federated stuff not go down the same way? Obviously, there's probably a central thing that can go down, but what happens if that happens? Do you know?
So there really isn't a central thing that needs to be running at any given moment.
Gotcha.
There are some central things that make it easier to find servers and stuff like that, but if that thing goes down, like no one's really affected. You know, everything still keeps running.
Yeah, that's kind of like the front desk being broken instead.
Right. You know, it's like, you know, you couldn't start your own new server during that period, but everybody else is still up and running, you know.
Yeah.
And you're viewing the Fediverse from your server. So if your server's down, you can actually, if you don't care about not being able to post, you can just go onto a different server and view the same content for the most part.
Yeah. So the thing is, like, I feel like when I talk about taking the pipes back, like the Fediverse seems like the answer. Like that feels like taking the pipes back, because instead of having to be owned by Twitter to post on Twitter, you just have like fans that follow you and you can post on all of them. And like that's, I think, like the ideal is that like you can post across all of the stuff and people just know to go to you, and like everything that you put on all the federated channels can be like found vertically under like you. Does that make sense? Because then you don't have to have a Netflix. Then you have a James Gunn, you know, and you can find James Gunn's federated Netflix shows or whatever, but also his tweets. I don't know. And maybe that's not better anyway, but I feel like having people own the platforms and own the pipes and own all the algorithms takes away from what the internet used to be, which is destinations. And a big part of the destination is destinations of people, how to connect people to each other, how to connect people to the storefronts. And that's really getting fucked. Like people who are on Etsy right now are getting absolutely destroyed because Etsy's fucking with its algorithm. And Etsy users also advertise on Instagram, and Instagram's fucking with their algorithm. And they also advertise on Google, and Google's fucking with its the Google papers. Have you heard about this Google SEO shit, dude?
Yes. That it's insane the amount of data they were collecting and using.
So like I haven't heard any of that. Like I really don't understand this, but my thing that I don't even know if this is the right takeaway, but like Google has been arguing that like SEO hackers have been getting better at gaming SEO, and that's why search has been getting so much worse, when it seems that maybe in actuality they just have been making search worse on purpose for basically no reason. But I think there's also a lot of other revelations in that data, and there will probably be a lot more. But shit, dude. But you want to talk about that was the only thing. Do you want to talk about anything outside of that I didn't clock or wasn't aware of?
No, I think that the reason for it is that by making some of the natural search stuff, the thing that you're actually looking for, worse, you're more likely to click on their ads, which is the only way they make money. Google's whole Google back, decade and a half ago bought DoubleClick, the biggest internet advertiser. But really, DoubleClick bought Google, if you look at it today. Because all of Google's money, for the most part, comes not from Android or YouTube or anything else. What makes them the most money is their ads on the search page. And anything they can do to make you click on the ad rather than click on the thing you actually wanted to click on, makes them more money. And that becomes the only thing that matters. That's the only metric that Google cares about at this point now. It's not that search is getting worse for no reason. It's that they're prioritizing where they make money off of things. And they've gotten unnaturally good at figuring out what ad to show you that you might actually click on it. So that's how the revelation is, that they went to lengths that they said they weren't going to make ads appear that you normally would not have seen.
Yeah. Those motherfuckers. It sucks. Science has been crazy. There's been some stuff, when science news comes through, you're like, I wonder how real this is. But there was a breakthrough in quantum entanglement. I don't know. I want to say they did it really easier. Like they did it way easier with less energy or something. But yeah, they entangled some particles really hard. And quantum entangled particles are important for quantum computing because you can basically vibrate particles instantaneously across distances. So that essentially amounts to instantaneous transfer of data across certain distances, which is magic. So if that is a real breakthrough, that's crazy. And if not, whatever. There's the tooth regrowth medicine that they mentioned. You hear about that? They're talking about how there's medicine that can regrow teeth. That's crazy if that's real.
For that, I remember when I was a kid, the dentist telling me, you know what, don't worry about, I had some messed up front teeth. And he was like, by the time you're 20, there's going to be a pill you can take that's going to make it, you just grow a whole new set of teeth.
Yeah.
So don't worry about this. So then I didn't take care of my mouth at all then. And my teeth have completely fallen apart because I was like, well, there's no point. There's going to be a pill. And maybe, my third generation descendants might have that, but I don't think I'm going to ever.
Yeah, but that's the thing is that, to me, that's legit fucking sci-fi science shit. And the future is such a bummer that, if that's real, I think you just got to take what you can get, that actually is a good future thing. I think, there's no flying cars, but there are a couple jetpacks technically, and that's cool. You got to appreciate that there are a couple jetpacks, diabetes cure. There's a Chinese person who is found to be cured of diabetes thanks to genetic methods. I don't know. They messed with the genetics. I don't know. But it's out of China, so who knows if it's real. Sometimes there's reproducibility concerns. So I don't know. But the big one, human brain computer chips. Do you hear about this? They're making computer chips that are connected to 16 brain organoids, mini brain organoids.
Yeah, it's creepy, and I can't put my finger exactly on what I object about it or where the line is for me, but for some reason that crosses the line, but other things haven't.
Why I don't like it is because my understanding is the company is just doing this, and they already have plans to say, hey, we're renting out the computing power of these brain organoids, which... let's just burn down that lab. Let's bomb it off the earth. I don't know. I'm sure that I don't know. They're going to be podcasting and shooting from the hip about something I completely am misunderstanding. But I think if we took lab rats and made this computer out of lab rats' brains, and we said, hey, use that. We're renting out the lab rat brain computer. You can rent that out. I'd be comfortable with that. And if the government, if the FDA was you know what? We decided we're going to start experimenting with brain cells and computing or something. I'd be maybe a little more comfortable with that. But just a company saying, hey, we're doing this. You can get in on this if you want. Hey, $20. You could calculate. You could play Minesweeper on a human brain. You know, that's just fucked up. If they have done a lot of tests on a lot of other animal brains and have been like, hey, let's try out human brains and see what that's like, I think that changes a little bit. But you don't start with human brains. Start with a lot of other brains for a long time and then go, none of these are working. We have to use human brains, and then go to human brains. Don't go, wait, what about human brains? Like, that's what's fucked up about this. That's very flippant with what could be creating a human, I have no mouth and must scream machine, you know? That's not a good thing to do, because if this is a thing that can suffer and we're making it suffer, that's bad that we're doing that to a human thing when we can be doing it to an animal thing, because ethically we've crossed the line. That's what we do with lab rats. We do that all the time. It's not good, but we do that. But I don't think we do that with human brain organoids necessarily. It's scary. Okay, we got to go. Is there anything you got to plug? Don't plug the show. Plug other. Kevin, anytime I ask you to plug, it's not fun for me. So I'm not going to ask you to plug. I'm going to end the
I'm not going
show.
to plug anything today. Then just be kind to everybody. That's all I want.
Okay. Be kind to everybody. Okay. So we like to end the show the same way. So until next time, I'm going to do impression of a guy from Middle Earth. There's this guy. I'm doing an impression of a guy in Middle Earth. But he's always complaining about how Middle Earth is bad. He's like, say, oh, it sucks here. Because it's not as good as where he's from, his hometown. What's with all these fucking orcs? There ain't no orcs up here where I come from, back up in North Earth. All right, goodbye. I fucking forgot. I forgot. Okay, so next week we're going to be talking about anime again on Anime Binge Club. We're going to be covering episode 4 and episode 5 of Evangelion. And hopefully we're going to have a couple of guests. So tune in, catch up, binge out. Fuck off.